And then we sailed on through Fiji, Australia, and Indonesia.
Wonderful
Indonesia
place.
is an amazing place, wasn't it? Do you remember that? It's the culture and then also the wildlife. And you remember I picked you up in Indonesia. We saw the culture, and then we sailed down to this little bay off this island called Rinca. And Rinca is where the Komodo dragons are.
When we went for the dragons, and people might think about dragons about this size, these were big sized crocodiles, and they moved at something like 40 miles an hour. You can never outrun. You have to remember that from the first moment. Don't have food with you because they'll come after you, and don't think you can outrun them. You cannot. You know, I don't want to be morbid, but you know, they had these big fangs with poison on their teeth, and that's how they kill their prey.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it takes a while for the poison, so it's actually not a very nice thing. So we were very, very mindful about these dragons.
So Eddie, what really stood out for you in Indonesia when we sailed through?
It was a surprise. I didn't really fully understand how great Indonesia was and the people, because you hear all sorts of conflicting stories.
Sure.
And it was amazing, but yet it was very rough. And if you remember, it was quite difficult to.
Yeah, I remember.
Because there was no landing, easy landing.
Yeah.
So we all got absolutely drenched in the tenders trying to get in, and it was like hilariously funny. But all of those things, Indonesia was very special because it had very strong religious culture. The people were amazingly kind. They couldn't do enough for you.
So sailing the Indian Ocean was a long trip, and of course we sailed through Cocos Keeling, Mauritius and Reunion as well, and then we had to cross the Agulhas Current to get to Durban. And of course the Agulhas Current is really the part of the trip that's a little bit more tricky, because that's a current that runs south along the coast of South Africa. Effectively it's all the warm water that comes out of the Indian Ocean every couple of days, and you get a lot of wind going against the other way, where you get these big seas. But of course we're fully supported by Oyster then, or the weather routing, and we got lush across with no problems at all. But it was an amazing sail round the bottom past East London and Knysna, and then into Cape Town, which was just awesome.
The little jewel at the end of the trip is Cape Town,
Isn't it?
because it has its own set. It has a wonderful music culture, which I absolutely adore. You know, we were able to go to the game park and we were able to see things that we hadn't seen really before. You know, the big five, they're everywhere. So they have, I think African people, or certainly South African people, have a great understanding of preservation of the animals and life in general. And when you go to these places, how they look after the animals. That's that. Obviously we don't need to talk too much about the wine. Everyone knows how amazing Stellenbosch is, or other areas for wine growing in Cape Town. And of course the amazing thing is, because it's just the most fascinating place for cycling. As I told you, we also had the bike on the boat, so I'd take the bike off and I'd go cycling.
We then had the final ocean to do, that was the South Atlantic, up through St. Helena, Ascension Island, up the coast of Brazil, and then back to the Caribbean. Arriving back into Antigua was a moment that we had left 18 months before. And
it was a huge celebration.
Yeah, huge.
Because it was the first one.
Yeah.
It was the first for an 885. I felt very proud that Marie and I did it with you guys, but proud that we were part of this. You could see that it was so popular that, you know, Oyster were right to take this on board, that this is not just a way of life, but it's a great selling opportunity, but it also gives people something to focus on.
Yeah.
Even if they're not planning, they're buying a boat now and they're not planning to do the next one, they could be planning to do the one after.
That's right.
And then, you, as you rightly said, you'll find so many reasons not to do it, but forget them, put them to one side, just go and do it.